Hello, everyone. I hope everyone's having a good Saturday. It's so good to see all of you here with me. I so appreciate each and every one of you. Sorry, my eye itches. Okay. So, how are you all doing? Hey, Double Rainbows, how are you? Hi, Molly. So good to see you. I'm so glad you guys are here. I missed Steve's show tonight. I had my grandson's birthday party to attend, so I just got home a little while ago. I'm kind of running frazzled, but we're going to have a good live tonight. My grandson turned 5 earlier this week, and my middle grandson turned 16. So we had, and my son-in-law his birthday's tomorrow, so we had a big party. It was quite fun, actually. Hey, Molly, if you get a chance, will you please email me? I'd like to ask you a question, and I so appreciate you being here. I hope you are feeling better. I know you've been down, so I truly hope that you're feeling better. Hey, Olivia, too. How are you? Hey, Jill. How are you? It's always good to see Jill Mosier in the house. Hey, Sees Through. How are you? Hey, D. Ashley. How are you? Hi, Mary Flynn. Oh, you guys are so kind. Hey, John. Welcome, my dear. How are you? Hi, Sierra Geralds. Good to have you with us. Hey, Maria. How are you, my dear? Big hugs to you. So glad you're here with me. Oh, Dee, I'm so glad to hear that you're not hurting. I hate hearing when people are in pain. So I'm really glad that you're here with us. Hey, Anonymous. Oh, I feel so good. You guys have no idea. Hi, CJK. Hey, True Crime Housewife. Welcome. Hi, Island. Hologram, how are you? Good to have you with us tonight, as always. Avondale Mama, how are you? Yeah, I'm doing absolutely fabulous. I'll tell you guys about it in a minute. A nerdy gathering. I wonder what that's all about. Thanks, Mary. Hi, Mrs. Thang. How are you? Hi, David Gray. Thank you so much. Hey, Jennifer. I'm so glad that I'm hoping that your son is feeling better. I've been praying for you and totally understand, my dear. Family comes first. So no worries. Hey, Willow, welcome. Hi, Margaret. How are you? Hi, Paris. How are you? Oh, you guys. You guys are so sweet. Well, I really appreciate all of you. And um, Rose Paradise, thank you so much for your 3-month membership as a door. The Doors are a great group, and I appreciate all of you so very much. Those of you who support me with my membership, I really appreciate. Hey, XTYNC, how are you? Always good to have you here. Hi, Bossy. Yeah, we're going to have a good show. I'm going to update us a little bit on a couple of things first. Um, the one of the updates that I wanted to give was um, on it just happened like 20 minutes ago, I think, is when it broke. But the Stockton sheriff had from Stockton, California, had a press conference. They have arrested whom they believe is responsible for the serial killings in Stockton, California. And from what I was able to get from the press conference, um, they basically got the tips about this person. Hey, Grismatically, thank you so much for being here. Um, Based on the tips that were coming into the Crime Stoppers tip line, they were able to make contact from those tips with this individual, and they began following him. And they followed him in his vehicle. And the suspect, as they were following him, they realized that he was actually out hunting. He was wearing dark clothing and he was wearing a mask around his neck. And he also had a firearm on him when he was taken into custody at 2 a.m. this morning. They are absolutely certain that they stopped another killing. So kudos to the units in Stockton and their SWAT team that took him down. His name is Wesley Brawley, and he's 43 years old, and they have arrested him for homicide. The sheriff said there will be more charges that come once the prosecutor gets a chance to look at some things. So I just wanted to give a shout out to them because they were able to capture him. And sadly, there were, I believe, 6 individuals that lost their lives to this killer. And obviously, they are pretty sure they have the right person, but we always have to wait until he has his day in court, of course. But let's certainly hope that they have the right person. Hey, Tech Death, so good to see you here with us tonight. Thank you so much for being here. I so appreciate you. I appreciate all of you. I know that you've been having some issues yourself, and our prayers are with you. So that was pretty great news. I don't really have any major updates on Quentin, except that they did come out and say there was going to be no searches this weekend. They still do not have Quentin's body. I know that there is a lot of speculation going on Twitter and so forth. And I do believe that I saw, I think it was Coffindorfer. Is that how you say her name? The FBI agent say that, or the retired FBI agent say that she feels that they will not find his body. So I don't know what's going on there, why they wouldn't continue to search since they don't have him. They said there was going to be no searches, Molly, this weekend at all. So I don't know what's happening. Hey, country girl, I hope we get some news on Monday. I know the weekends are rough. They're probably working really hard. In fact, they said they were. There's a lot of information that they got out of the house, a lot of evidence, I guess, and they're working on that aspect of it. So I'm certain we're going to know more. As far as I know, Leilani is in the wind. The last I heard, nobody knew where she was. So I don't know. Hello? Can you guys hear me? Hello? Put a 1 in the chat if you guys can hear me. I'm showing everything. I'm showing that my sound and everything is good, you guys. So if you can't hear me, it might be on your end. Thank you guys for that. So we're going to get into some stuff tonight. We're going to talk a little bit about the Delphi case, and we're going to go maybe into some areas that might be a tad uncomfortable for people. But okay, guys, if you can't hear me, go back out and come back in, because I don't think it's on my end. But yeah, we are going to talk about some really interesting things. But the very first thing that I want to do is, I don't know how many of you are aware of, hey, Lipsha, if you guys are aware of the Inquisitor and the Inquisitor's channel or not on YouTube. But if you are not aware of his channel, you are missing out. I can't say enough about him. He has put out some of the best videos on Delphi that really make you think, similar to The Captain and to True Crime Jesus. That's kind of how I see this channel. He covers a lot of things. He doesn't just cover Delphi, but the stuff that he covers on Delphi is just really good. And we are going to watch one of his videos tonight that he just put out, because I just think it's really important that we see this. And one of the things that I wanted to tell you guys is there's always great content out there. And thank you, True Crime Maria, for putting up his channel for me. I will try and get that. I want that link in Nightbot, so I will try to get that done. See if Jennifer can get that added for us for the channels that we do endorse here. But please make sure you check him out. Hey, James Jamieson, how are you? Yeah, Willow, he does great stuff. So we're going to play his video. It's about 16 minutes long, but I think it's really important that you guys see this. Then we're going to talk about some of the things that I wanted to cover tonight regarding Delphi. So let's get right into it. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and we'll watch the video together. And the name of this video is called The Hitchhiker.
On the evening around 8 p.m. on the 13th of February 2017, a woman claimed she saw a suspicious man on her way home from work on the north of the New State Road 25, also known as the Hoosier Heartland Highway between Lafayette and Delphi. She claimed the man said he worked for his dad's business, his vehicle had broken down, and he was trying to get to his girlfriend's place in Delphi. The woman described the man as being Caucasian, between maybe 30 and 45 years old, and possibly close to 6 foot, weighing around 210 to 240 pounds.
I'm going to pause it for a minute and go back, because I don't know if you guys had time to read this, so I'm going to help read it for you. I wanted to say that I did already call in my tip a few days after it occurred, but wanted to ask you all to try to think back to the evening of February 13th. Were any other members possibly traveling on the News 25 northbound around 8 p.m. between Lafayette and Delphi? This is called the Hoosier Heartland Highway. Please search your memory, as I think it might have some real significance. I want to share an eerie encounter that I had that evening, but I will not share exact details of now, as I would hate to have anyone just parroting what I saw, as this will not help the investigators to look into it harder. So let me tell you in very general terms of what I experienced. I work in West Lafayette and was on my way home around 8 p.m. on February 13th, traveling the new 25 northbound. First, I came across a possible work vehicle with its four-way flashers parked in the grassy median area. I say work vehicle because it had a possible logo, which I reported to the best of my memory, along with the vehicle color and type. Although I still can't say for sure, even now, what the make might have been. I slowed to make sure it was not an accident and did not see anyone with the stranded vehicle in question. About 2 miles farther up the road, I came across a man attempting to hitch a ride. At the time, I hadn't even heard about the girl's disappearance yet because I had been at work. Since mid-morning that day, I did pull over to the shoulder of the road, crack my window enough to talk to him, and had even turned on my dome light to see him better. Again, to keep this general, I will only say that he was Caucasian, between maybe 30 to 45 years old, possibly close to 6 foot, 210 to 240 pounds. While I can say that the clothes were not the same as the police suspect pick, he was wearing a light jacket over the top of a lighter brownish tan hoodie. He told me his first name only and that he worked for his dad's business. He had broken down and was trying to get to his girlfriend's house in Delphi. I told him I could not give him a ride, but did offer to call someone for him or for a tow. He told me not to worry about it as he had already let his dad know and that it was okay for him to continue to walk. The whole time, he never once made eye contact and had acted fidgety and extremely nervous. He also never even thanked me for stopping to check on him. To be honest, he gave me a very bad vibe that left me feeling quite shook. When I got home, I told my husband about the encounter, and neither one of us felt the need to spend much more time discussing it that night, other than for him to scold me slightly for stopping in the dark for a stranger by myself. The next day, when I heard the teens were missing and that a search was underway, I instantly recalled the strange encounter and the really awful feeling that it had given me.
On Monday, the 20th of February 2017, Indiana State Police were asking for help from the public if anyone saw a hitchhiker or walker on the Hoosier Heartland Highway from Logansport to Lafayette, Indiana.
Police are asking the public to try and remember if you saw somebody Monday, February 13th in the late afternoon or evening. We're asking people that were driving down the Hoosier Heartland that might have seen a hitchhiker or someone walking. We're asking people that live in the Logansport all the way to Lafayette if they saw somebody late that afternoon, that evening of Monday the 13th. If they saw somebody walking down the roadway that just did not look like they should be there, or that they're just a hitchhiker, we would like to talk to that person, said Sergeant Kim Riley of the Indiana State Police. They are also looking for leads related to the suspect seen walking on a trail near the Monon High Bridge.
Down this path behind me is where the two teens were last seen alive. Today, we found a bundle of flowers near the Monon High Bridge to mark the spot. Now, this afternoon, as many as 35 investigators are looking into tips and leads that are coming in. State police say that no tip is too small in solving this case. Now, authorities tell me more than 100 tips have come in since they named this man their suspect in the double homicide yesterday. Now, this picture taken along the trail where Abby Williams and Libby German were last seen 1 week ago on the trail system east of Delphi. While they won't discuss the evidence, state police believe this is their suspect, although they still have not identified him. Police are not sure if the man remains here in Delphi, but today they tell us they are looking at several theories as to who and where he is.
We're checking all of our leads. We're asking people that, that were driving down the Hoosier Heartland that might have saw a hitchhiker or somebody walking. We're asking people that would live in Logansport all the way to Lafayette that if they saw somebody around that late afternoon, that evening of Monday the 13th, if they saw somebody walking down the roadway that just did not look like they should have been there, or they're just a hitchhiker, we would like to know about that person.
Now, the tip line is right there at the bottom of the screen. Now, today I spoke to a woman who was good friends with Libby German's family. I asked her how she's feeling after police named that man in the picture a suspect in this investigation. You're going to hear from her coming up tonight at 5 and 6. For now, we're live in Delphi. For the Now Indy, Mike Pelton, RTV6.
The woman who witnessed to the suspicious person on the Hoosier Heartland Highway was reached out to about her Facebook post and responded that the man who she saw was a registered sex offender who worked for his father in Illinois and was not the person investigators believed to have been Bridge Guy because he was not in Delphi or near the Monon High Bridge around the time the murders took place.
Here's the woman's answer to what happened after the tip. It was me who had encountered this guy. I tipped it in and had 2 ISP officers and 2 FBI agents who followed up and met with me the day after I had put in my tip. The guy was eventually identified as an RSO who resided in Delphi with his girlfriend. Based on my description of the logos on the side of the work van, they were also able to identify the home business construction company that his father owned. I was also told that he was the one of many people investigated whose original alibi did not hold up because he had lied to investigators about his whereabouts that day. He had tried offering up gas receipts to attempt to prove he had been working on a job for his dad in Illinois, so therefore it could not possibly be him that I encountered that night. It turned out that those gas receipts belonged to the girlfriend who worked 3 days a week as a real estate agent in Illinois. From what I was told, they later were able to figure out where he actually was and confirmed that it was him that I saw that night. They simply told me that he lied initially because he had not wanted his father to fire him for not being on the job that day, that his dad thought he was and had taken the day off instead. But they assured me that he was never near the bridge that day at all because they were able to figure out and track his movements from that day. So I was told by investigators that he was not bridge guy and nothing to do with the crime, but thanked me for coming forward. This is from Kevin Hammond, and it's dated March 16th, 2017. It looks to be an email. Her tip has been received and the guy has been cleared. Thank you for your assistance in this matter. Detective Kevin Hammond, Carroll County Sheriff's Office.
The identity of the individual seen by the witness around 8 p.m. on the 13th of February 2017 on the Hoosier Heartland Highway was registered sex offender Aaron Michael Facemeyer, 38 years old, 5'11" and 200 pounds, from Chalmers, Indiana. Aaron Michael Facemeyer is a child molester who has repeat offended over the years, and most of his offenses were child sex crimes stemming back to the year 2003.
He has current charges since 2017 that are being shown here from June 5th of 2021, where he was charged with incest with a victim less than 16 years of age, contributing to the delinquency of a minor, furnishing alcohol to a minor, and habitual offender.
On March 17, 2022, Aaron Michael Facemeyer was sentenced to 10 years in prison for his 2021 incest charge. The judge added an additional 10 years because Facemeyer was a repeat offender. If registered sex offender Aaron Facemeyer was ruled out before they released the Old Bridge Guy sketch, then who was the Old Bridge Guy? According to two credible law enforcement officials, Old Bridge Guy was ruled out and was identified as being a sex offender. On the Actus Royce Delphi evidence page, it mentioned that on episode 122 of the Best Case Worst Case podcast, it stated that podcast hosts former FBI agent Jim Clemente and former federal prosecutor Francie Hakes, who was the country's first national coordinator for child exploitation prevention and interdiction, said that the Old Bridge Guy sketch was in fact a registered sex offender and was no longer considered a possible suspect, which is why the sketch was removed. The source or sources who told the podcast is unknown, but it is considered credible information due to the high credibility of the hosts. Shortly after the Delphi April 22, 2019 press conference, former Indiana State Police Captain Dave Burston and former Indiana State Police Sergeant Kim Riley both stated that the Old Bridge Guy sketch and Old Bridge Guy is no longer relevant and no longer a person of interest in the investigation, and the new primary focus is on the Young Bridge Guy sketch, which was drawn up before the Old Bridge Guy sketch just 3 days after the murders in February 2017. Kelsey German, sister of Liberty German and Anna Williams, mother of Abigail Williams, took to social media to discuss the Young Bridge Guy sketch, which was revealed at the April 22, 2019 New Direction press conference.
Anna says, so they were very clear that the first sketch was a person of interest. The second one was released because they had cleared the first person. I think law enforcement did things in a manner they felt they needed to. I wouldn't second guess them for a minute. So no, I'm not going to tell the professionals they were wrong.
Deceased Indiana resident and amateur sleuther Douglas Rice claimed he spoke to the young female witness several times and said she described that bridge guy was wearing a short-billed hat with a hoodie pulled up and a scarf below his nose. He said she described him to be in his 40s and 50s and around her height 5'6" or 5'7". Douglas Rice also showed the young witness a registered sex offender's picture named Jimmy Dale Duvall from Kokomo, Indiana, who served 16 years from a 45-year sentence for raping a minor. The young witness claimed he bore some similarity to who she saw, although she claimed she wasn't sure it was him because the person she saw had his lower face just below his nose covered with a scarf. Jimmy Dale Duvall was supposedly ruled out via DNA and an alibi, according to a relative of his. He worked.
Now, I thought that was extremely interesting because to rule someone out with DNA would definitely confirm that they have DNA with enough markers to rule people out, as we have always thought, but not to necessarily rule people in.
Worked at the Chrysler plant in Kokomo, Indiana at the time of the murders. Indiana State Police have made many contradictory statements regarding the Old Bridge Guy sketch since it was revealed on July 17, 2017.
And you do notice that he worked at the Kokomo plant. Very interesting. Seems like there's a lot of these type of people that possibly work at that plant. Police say the sketch of the suspect is based off witness tips, including one woman who told police she saw this man near the Delphi Historic Trails the day Abby Williams and Libby German were murdered.
Former Indiana State Police Sergeant Kim Riley has also stated that the Old Bridge Guy sketch came only from the video recording of Bridge Guy from Liberty German's phone. It was also stated in a Delphi documentary that the Old Bridge Guy sketch was created exclusively from the video. I'm not sure if a person can actually discern what Bridge Guy's face actually looks like from the poor quality blurry video to create an accurate sketch.
And I absolutely would agree with the Inquisitor. I have always felt that way. for the last 5.5 years. That video that we see of Bridge Guy on that bridge, you cannot make out his face. You cannot tell who that is by that face. And I think that that is why Doug Carter has spent so much time telling us to disregard the head and look at the body and look at the mannerisms and the movement, because that's what they want us to be able to see. We can see that quite well, but you cannot make out a face. So how they were able to draw a sketch from that face, I just don't buy it. I just believe that that's just not where this sketch is coming from. It leaves so much to the imagination. And if you're a sketch artist and you're trying to discern what this person looks like from that grainy video, it's just impossible, you guys. It's absolutely impossible. You have to stop and look at that. And if you alter that image, we already know that the image was cleaned up as best they possibly could. So with amateur sleuths, and I get why people have done it. I'm not trying to say that, but all I'm saying is the more you distort it or try to enhance it or do whatever, it's not bringing any more truthful information to this man's face. It's just not. Oops.
Ultimately, I don't think Aaron Facemeyer was the Old Bridge Guy sketch or Old Bridge Guy simply because he was not in Delphi at the time of the murders. The Old Bridge Guy sketch and Old Bridge Guy was dismissed without any clear confirmation as to who his identity was via an official statement. As time passed since the April 2019 New Direction press conference, which unveiled the Young Bridge Guy sketch, Doug Carter has made statements and clarified that the sketch is not a photograph and the killer's facial characteristics may share similar elements from both Old Bridge Guy and Young Bridge Guy sketch.
I believe that eventually we're going to be able to say this person's the killer. And there's a combination of those two images that'll land on his face.
Thank you so much to the Inquisitor for allowing me to play his video and share it with you all tonight. I really think that brings to light a lot of questions that have been around the hitchhiker. For a lot of people that aren't aware, this was huge on Facebook because the witness went to Facebook and posted about herself. And she was very, very frightened by what she encountered that night. She felt very uncomfortable. She had a gut feeling, whatever. I think we all, as women especially, we know what that kind of feeling is when you come across someone who just gives you that really weird, unsafe kind of feeling about them. Definitely smart on her part for not picking him up and giving him a ride. So I'm sure that her husband was even though he was angry that she stopped at all, I'm sure that he was happy that she didn't pick him up and let him in the car. As it turns out, he is a registered sex offender, and so not a good person, obviously. And then going on, like I said, going on from there and then talking about the sketches and Bridge Guy. And I just, like I said, I told you guys in the beginning tonight that this is going to probably be volatile to some people. This is going to probably throw people for a loop, sort of, with what I want to talk about. But I do think, and I've gone back and forth just like anybody else that's followed this case for 5.5 years, when you're trying to figure all of this out, because there is so many different twists and turns to this case, and trying to figure out a mystery of what happened to Abby and Libby that day. Who did this? What's the motive? Who had the means? Who had the wherewithal to plan this? What is the method that they chose to use? Is this really truly a serial type killer crime? And the more and more I go back through my notebooks and I research the stuff that I did from the very beginning, because that's what I've done this last 6 weeks, especially, is I'm just going back from the beginning and trying to look at things. I don't feel that this is a serial killer. I don't. I do not feel that way at all. I think that whoever committed this crime wanted it to appear that way. I think they did what they could at that crime scene to make it appear that it could be. Hence the so-called signatures and all of that. That is my gut feeling on this. I'm not saying I'm right. I'm just giving you opinion here, because I could be completely off base. But the more I look back at it, I don't see it that way. I see this person being violent. I believe that this person is probably a deviant and has some weird sexual fantasy life of some kind. I think that when we're talking about the perpetrator or perpetrators of this crime, we have to go back and look at everything and try to see why law enforcement did what they did and who they were looking at and who we know they were really focusing on. And there was a video put out in the last couple of days by a channel called R&M. And I'm going to give that shout out because I think it's important to listen to that video, you guys, because they interview an ex of Ron Logan's. Now, we've heard this before because I know that there's been people who have talked about interviewing or talking to one of Ron Logan's exes. This person was supposedly with him in the 80s, I believe, for about 4 or 5 years, and she had a daughter. And she depicts and talks about a man. You got to remember, that's nearly 40 years ago, okay? So Ron Logan would have been in his 30s. This is a different person than the person we see now in 2017 when the girls are killed. And I just think that you guys need to watch it and get a sense of what this person describes, because a lot of us have felt the way we have about Ron Logan, I think, based upon the fact that here's this elderly man we saw in video, we saw interviewed, who seemed just like this docile, caring person, who cared about animals, was a farmer. Yeah, he had a drinking problem. But, we have found out so much about him. Now, granted, we have to take what we hear from these individuals with a grain of salt, um, because not everything that they say about this person could be true. But one of the things that I want to say is I don't believe when I listen to what she says and how she says it, I don't see this woman out there trying to garner 15 minutes of fame by being on the Murder Sheet podcast or being interviewed by local news media. She's not going on YouTube channels and talking about this stuff. And she depicts a completely different person, a man who was extremely controlling, extremely abusive, basically isolated her from her family and her friends, which, if you know anything about men who commit domestic violence, that's one of the first things that they do is they isolate you from your support group. They isolate you from the people who can protect you or can intervene and defend you. And so when I listened to this today, or I didn't listen to it today, I listened to it yesterday. But when I listened to this, I was like, unbelievable with what I heard. And I started thinking about different scenarios of how I felt. And good Lord, I can't believe how violent he was and the things that he did. And to look at him at the age of 77, my God, you would never have thought. And she said that he was, he committed all kinds of things. I mean, sexual assault on her, forcibly, whenever he wanted. If she wasn't willing or, wasn't going to participate, he made her. And that's one of the things that I think we have to go back and look at when we're talking about people who could have possibly committed this crime. I have always been on the side of defending Ron Logan. I felt like this man was being viewed in a different light and that it was really easy to attack him because the girls were found on his property. And, he just seemed like this okay guy. And you cannot judge a book by its cover. Honeybee is right. Sorry. Honeybee is right. Ted Bundy worked at a suicide hotline with a true crime author. He was well respected. People liked him. He was super smart, very charming, and the man was a cold-blooded killer. Just because somebody looks like something on the outside does not mean you know them or you know what they're like. Hey, Steve, how are you? I wish you well. I hope that everything goes well tomorrow when you leave. I'm here for you for anything that you may need while you're gone, while you come up here to Indiana. And You're always welcome, my dear. Always, always. So when and I really mean this, you guys, I know that people have POIs. And I've told you guys for 8 months that I don't have a POI. And I don't. But I'm telling you, the more and more I see and I go back to the beginning and I start reading and looking at things from then, I think we may have missed some stuff. I think we may have glossed over some things because law enforcement was telling us this thing. They were, basically, hey Fig, how are you, my friend? So good to see you. Molly is right. Anne Rule wrote a book called The Stranger Beside Me. If you haven't read it, get it and read it. She did the suicide hotline with him. She had him in her home. She was former law enforcement, and the book is absolutely chilling. What she learned about this person that she thought was her friend, she was, I don't want to say duped, but she saw what he wanted her to see. And a lot of these sociopaths and psychopaths are able to do just that. They don't have the same kind of emotional reaction that we do. Some of them are completely void of emotion. And that's what makes them who they are, and it makes them able to do some of the horrific things that they do. But I know for a fact that law enforcement, what was it? I think it was a night. Was it Tuesday night we talked about this? I can't remember if it was Tuesday night or if it was Thursday night, you guys, and I apologize. Hey, tattooed girl. So good to see you. We talked about the Ron Logan search warrant. We know for a fact that the FBI believed it was him. They were focused on him very, very heavily. Now, I've gone back and forth because, like I said, we know that jurisdictions don't always communicate well, don't always agree. The locals know him. Obviously, local law enforcement knows him. The county of law enforcement knows him, knows Ron Logan, and they've known him for years. He's lived there for 50 years. So one of the things I think about when I think about Ron and that fact is that they very well may have been thinking, no way. There's no way that this guy was capable of doing it. He's a drunk. He's got this drinking problem, but he's not a killer. I saw John posted up here a minute ago that Ron Logan would shock the community. And there are a lot of people that do not believe that Ron Logan had anything at all to do with this crime. There are a lot of people who do believe that Ron Logan had something to do with this crime. There are a lot of people who believe he committed it alone. I'm not there yet. I just know that there's a lot about him that makes him scary as hell. And just because we saw him in these sound bites on local media talking about the crime, talking about, you know, his horses and talking about his son and all of this stuff. There's a history, and I'm going to go out on a limb here and just say all of us have skeletons in our lives that we don't want public. Whether it's us personally or family members or extended family members, there's always stuff in families that people don't want public. And small town America is no different. You can't blame the killings on alcoholism. That's not at all what I'm trying to say here. All I'm saying is that many times, most of the time, these offenders have problems with alcohol or problems with drugs, and that can control how they behave and how their hunting or their anger can absolutely go off the rails, that can cause them to become extremely violent and act out in that possible way. It is known fact that Ron Logan did not like people trespassing on his property. And maybe he saw the bridge as part of that because he knew that the bridge was privately owned. It did not belong to the historic district, the trails, and nobody belonged on it. There was nobody supposed to be on that bridge. So maybe he felt like, I'm the person who's supposed to keep people off of it. And these kids never listen and whatever. So I'm just saying we have to think outside that box. We never want to put ourselves completely in the box. Sleuth Intuition, and I'm going to give him a shout out because he did an excellent video last fall. I can't remember. It was right after he started his channel. And it was all about thinking outside the box and not putting yourself into a box with this case, or really any case. A lot of people box themselves in and they close all the sides and they just double down and they're like, this is my POI and nothing you tell me will ever change my mind. Those people you're never going to be able to have any kind of a debate with or any kind of critical thinking conversation, because they've made up their minds. They are stuck in the sand with this person. And Sleuth talks about it and says, always keep one side of your box open because things change. As Doug Carter said, this investigation is fluid and is constantly changing. As they learn more about what is going on, they get new tips in and they figure things out and they start putting the puzzle together. That's when what they thought over here may no longer matter. It completely could be wrong. And I often wonder why people get so set on, well, I just absolutely know that this could not possibly have happened. It might seem crazy, but killing two girls in broad daylight in a horrific fashion is damn crazy, in my opinion. And I think all of us would agree. So, I really wonder what is going on with law enforcement and what this is all meaning. I want to correct something that I said the other night. The Inquisitor found it and called it out for me, to let me know that I was wrong, because I had said that Tony Kline rented a house in Peru from Ron Logan, but that is not correct. He rented a house to someone else who knew Tony Kline. And I didn't want to you guys know I'm all about facts. I don't want to misrepresent anything. So anytime you hear me say something out of turn or wrong, please correct me, because I really want to make sure that that's what I'm doing. Hey, Crimezilla, so good to see you. Yeah, I agree. Agreed, Molly. I don't really respect people that get into that kind of a scenario when we're talking about an unsolved crime, and especially unsolved crimes, any unsolved crime. But when we're talking about unsolved crimes of children, and you just get double down and absolutely say, this has got to be it, I'm not going to listen to anything that anybody else says, and especially law enforcement. I mean, it's just insanity to me. And so I'm like, you have to keep your mind open to other things that happen or other information. And I'm with John. John France one of my moderators just told us and reminded us, we have been told by law enforcement, we are all going to be shocked by who Bridge Guy is and who committed this crime. Do the Klines shock me? No, the Klines do not. I'm sorry, Mike Talk Show. I don't do call-ins, so I do apologize. At this time, I may in the future, but right now I'm not doing those. But what I just feel that we need to go back to the beginning, dust off the dust from what evidence we were given back then, and kind of look at what we know now based on what went on back then. I just don't think we know enough to have a POI. I think we know a lot of different things, but we need to know so much more to have one. People tend to build a narrative around what they think instead of, or how they feel, instead of what they know. And you can't arrest someone on what you think. You can only arrest someone on what you know as fact. And I think Steve's in here and he would say that. He would agree with that. I think that I just feel like we've been, for the last 10 months, since December. Hey, Perry, welcome, my dear. Thank you so much. So what Steve says is, while Ron Logan deserves every bit of scrutiny, the inability of the greatest crime lab in the world to connect him speaks volumes. And I agree with that. If you can't put him, at that crime scene and do that, yeah, I mean, that is something for sure. You got to scrutinize him. He was there. He asked for an alibi before the girls were ever known to be murdered. That is huge, you guys. That's a huge red flag. But I will tell you this. The person or persons who are responsible for this crime would easily try to implicate Ron Logan. I've said it before. It could be the very reason that that they were left on Ron Logan's property to implicate him. So I do believe that. But we have to go back and look at what law enforcement was doing and what law enforcement was thinking. And now that we know that for 2 years, it seems that they were focused on Ron Logan. And they didn't really do any deep investigating on his property or his home for nearly a month after the murders took place. I found that incredible. That would have been one of the first places I went as an investigator in my mind, you know. I thought that, I found that kind of crazy. I'm stuck as John is on some of the comments that have been made. One of one of the things that bothers me is you will be surprised by who this is. So I asked myself that question of every person of interest that has been put out there across the waves for 5.5 years. Hey, Hoosier, how are you? How are you? Welcome. And you know, there's a lot of things that go into this. There's just so much that we could discuss and talk about here. Yeah, Steve said the alibi is a huge red flag. Agreed. Unbelievable the owner of property found on and Klines who catfished and made contact each sought alibis. Exactly. Those are huge red flags to law enforcement. You cannot dispel that. You have to take a look at that. And I'm here to tell you that, yeah, I definitely believe still to this day, the Klines are involved in this crime somehow. Don't know that they did it. Don't know that they committed the crime. Don't know. But based on what we've seen, based on the things we know from law enforcement, from the transcripts, from the interviews done by Barbara McDonald of HLN, I cannot possibly think any other way that they have to have some kind of involvement in this. They've implicated themselves by their behavior. So I ask myself, what sane person would put themselves at the scene of a crime? I've asked that for 5.5 years. Would you guys do that to yourself? Why would you place yourself there? It's just, it's crazy. So I think that when Fig says, in my opinion, the "you will be surprised" phrase comes from the FBI profile rhetoric, hiding in plain sight, etc. They were talking about a BTK-like profile they did on Bridge Guy. And that's very possible, Fig, for sure. Absolutely, for sure. But we've never been given that profile. We have never been given a profile on Bridge Guy. That to me is hugely bothersome. I don't know why they wouldn't talk about who and what type of person that we're looking for in this case. It makes no sense. No, I do not believe that for 1 minute, Mike. If Garrett Kurtz was arrested for this, it would not shock me one bit, because we already know he's capable of murder. Not shocking at all. But I just think that we have to, like I said, oh boy, Hoosier, is it not? It's hard to winnow the wheat from the chaff. And it is the truth. It is so true. I think that there's just so many possibilities. And I think we've all talked about this. People, other creators, podcasters, whatever, we've all talked about this, that there is just a lot of places to go with this case. It's confusing. There are so many different possibilities. I really felt, and I still feel, that law enforcement obviously knows way more than we know. They are I definitely believe that they are going to get him. I can't let myself think any other way. I'm not going to take away the hope of the families. I think that, bye, Joan. Thanks for showing up. I do think that there is a possibility that there's more corruption than we think or know. I'm not comfortable with Carroll County. You guys know that. I have uncovered so much stuff around Carroll County and the fires, the Flora girls, and they can't, as far as I know, nobody in law enforcement in this case has ever said that anyone was cleared. They use the word covered, because they can't, because it's an ongoing investigation. If they clear somebody and then go back and find new information that that person is involved, it makes them look extremely bad. And then if they try to take it to court, a defense attorney is going to have a field day with them. So that is why they do not clear people in ongoing cases. Hoosier, I can guarantee you that politics are involved in this case. There's no getting around it, sadly. You've got Doug Carter, who's a politician. So, I mean, you've got politics. What I hope is that they all are after justice and not trying to make a career. I would say that they aren't, because most of the time your individuals who are elected officials, they want to get these cases solved because it's good for them politically. It's good for them when elections roll around and they can say that they solved the biggest case in history in the state of Indiana. Hey, Insomniac to the Queen. Welcome. Guys, please hit the like and subscribe button. If I've got 180 people watching, and I appreciate each and every one of you. But please like and subscribe to my videos so that you know the next time I go live. And it also helps the algorithm with YouTube so that more people can see my live streams. But yeah, I'm hopeful that the people of Carroll County have paid attention and are fed up and tired of the status quo attitude in the Carroll County Sheriff's Office, because I believe they have that. And I think it's time for new blood in that leadership role. So I hope that they pay attention and that they do the right thing. I'm not comfortable with Tony Liggett winning this election at all. And because he's basically said that he is not going to do anything different. Hey, Charlie, 883, welcome to being a member of the Doors. So happy to have you. Thank you very much. Fig says, I swear a few days after Ron Logan passed away, someone from law enforcement was interviewed outside and said, we can now say Ron Logan is cleared. That video has since been taken down. I found it once, but never again. Probably because they were not supposed to say that. I'm pretty sure that is probably why it was taken down. And you know what, in Mike, talk show, I don't doubt that. With the things that I know about Indiana, I definitely wouldn't want to live there. But there's a number of reasons why. But there's corruption everywhere. There always is. It doesn't mean that they are not wanting to solve this case, however. And we have talked about that. You know, there's a lot of money coming into this county for the Flora case and for the Delphi case. And they are getting a ton of resources to be able to investigate these cases. So I'm like, I've always said, when you're looking at the money, you know, you've got to follow the money. Most people do things for money. And when you're talking about crime, it's usually about sex, money, or a family argument or some kind of family type issue. I don't understand why it's so hard when Delphi, when people start talking a certain way about Delphi and wanting people to keep open minds about Bridge Guy, and when you start going down different paths, how people just want to shut you down. They don't want you to talk that way. They don't want you to even mention that. They just don't even think that you should go there. And I think that, well, we have to keep talking about the corruption, Honeybee. We have to. It is the only way to help get it out there. You know, we've done a lot of work. Unsolved Crimes and I have done a lot of work to try to get the DOJ involved with Carroll County. We want them to come in and investigate. Yeah, Molly, you're absolutely right. Follow the money. And it is the truth. I know a lot of people in the very beginning were looking at the McCains because of the money aspect with the bridge and the trails. Now, do I think that it's possible that these girls were killed because they wanted the land? You know what? I don't want to think that way. My mind tells me that's not logical. That's ridiculous. Nobody would kill two young girls because they wanted some bit of land. But you know what? People have killed for less. There's a lot of missing money in Carroll County. There is a lot of money that they have gotten in grants that are specifically supposed to be used for what the grant was written for, that hasn't been. And the bridge is paramount in that. They got all of this money and they have done nothing to the bridge. They revamped the trail, but they got money especially to redo that bridge and make it safe. They were going to redo the platform and make sure that those railroad ties were gone, and it was going to be a nice walking path across the bridge. They were going to repair the crumbling pylon that is so bad that one of these days that bridge is going to fall. It is so dangerous. And they were also going to put up railings so that when you walk across the bridge, you don't just get blown off or pushed off. And they have done nothing to that bridge. So where's that money? Where is that money? So, those are the kinds of questions that you have to ask. And what did he say? Hold on. Hi, baby bear. Polygraph, what did you say? Ken Main said what? Ken Main said that Liggett had told him that if he got what? I don't know what you were saying there. They have done nothing to it. They have absolutely done nothing to that bridge. So do I think that what happened to Ron Logan was stress related, and maybe that's how come he passed away, because of being in the public eye for this crime and everyone pointing fingers at him? Sure. I can't even imagine being him or any of the POIs for that matter that have been brought up and thrown out there with little to no evidence against them. And the evidence, the circumstantial stuff that people talk about, I've spoken on many lives with Cop Faxx, Perry Freeman. I've talked about this with Steve from True Crime Web, and they're law enforcement officials. They have history. They know how all of this works. And you cannot have a POI if you cannot place them at that crime scene. That's why we don't have an arrest. If they do know who did this, if they do know who did this, They have to have the evidence to take them to court and prove that they were there at the crime scene committing the crime. Okay, so what does Ken Main said that if Liggett was elected, that he would give all the information to Means and to give all the information to Mains, and together they would solve the crime. So Mains is pushing his viewers from Indiana to vote for Liggett. Yeah, that's sad. I don't believe that'll happen. I wish it would. I mean, I wish somebody would get Ken Mains involved, but I just think Tony Liggett is saying that so he can get people to vote for him, because he's actually came out and said in the debates that he is not going to change anything at all. So he is basically Tobe Lesenby's how do I want to put it? Festus. He's his, what's the guy from Andy Griffith's show? He's his sidekick. Liggett is. He's handpicked him. He handpicked him to take over, and he is going to be a mouthpiece of Tobe Lesenby. And I believe that wholeheartedly. And I do believe, Digital, that's possible too. Could also be that the killers don't want land or haven't directly stolen tax monies, but they know about the corruption, so the thieves, arsonists won't provide evidence on killers. Barney Fife, thank you, Hoosier. I couldn't think of his name for anything, but that's what Liggett is. He's a Barney Fife, firmly. He's just going to do what's already been done. And Diana Blake, thank you. They are all handpicked here. Yeah, I'm sure. Hey, Deb, welcome. Welcome. And Molly is exactly right. Why would anyone in Carroll County want anything to stay the same? They have 6 dead girls that still have no justice. Doesn't seem to me that there's any movement on Flora. I mean, we're getting ready to have a 6-year anniversary of that horrific crime, and it doesn't seem to me that they're doing any movement on that case. When was the last time we had a press conference on Flora from law enforcement? Everybody's talking about wanting more information on Delphi. What about Flora? Yeah, there you go. I just feel like, we can get angry as heck as we want about Delphi and all the things. But when you stop and think about Flora, you talk about making someone angry and see red. We have 39 dead children since 2016 in the 6 surrounding counties of Carroll County. 39 from fires. And nobody seems to care. 39. Go watch Unsolved Crimes Uncovered. She's one of my mods. She has an amazing channel, and she has done all of the data work on that case. And it is so disturbing. And like I said, you're looking at this and you're thinking to myself, what in the heck is going on? And you've got a state fire marshal who says, yeah, we have problems with fires in Indiana. Really? So, yeah, we definitely need a change in Carroll County. We definitely don't need Tony Liggett staying in power there. I just think that when we're looking at the case, we're looking at Ron Logan, we're looking at some of the early stuff, we're looking at the sketches, we're looking at the hitchhiker, you know, we're looking at all of those things. We have to go through that and check off the boxes, basically. And it's really difficult. I'm not saying that this is easy, folks. I've been down some rabbit holes that I don't ever want to go down again. And yeah, Molly, they do. And Allie and I are doing everything in our power to get that to happen. Allie has some really good contacts in the government. So we're hoping that we get eyes on this county so that they can come in and start figuring out what the heck is going on. I think it's very interesting that the FBI came out so suddenly and said that the Klines were not involved with Delphi back in 2017. That surprised me. It surprised me because they didn't have all of the evidence off of the devices. I think they may have believed Kagan when they interviewed him. Maybe they bought all of his crap about going to Vegas and being in Vegas and having a life in Vegas and all of this other stuff. I have no idea. None of that makes sense to me. But hindsight, looking back on what we know now, we know that that was all BS, smoke screens, faked alibis put up to shield them. And I agree with you on the surface. I like Ives, but he was responsible for justice in that area for 2+ decades, and look where they are. I do not personally have anything against Robert Ives, but professionally, I think there's a lot of mistakes that have been made there, and especially with Flora. I think it's very interesting how he resigned less than almost a year to the day of Flora. I don't think he wanted any part of it. And that says a lot about a prosecutor, in my opinion. Right, Molly. That is very true. Anyone can file a complaint against any U.S. police agency to the DOJ. The DOJ website has a web form to do it. You don't even have to be a U.S. citizen. And that is true. It says, Kimosabi says, the state has been working on a 2-mile stretch of road through my town for 2 years. Delay after delay, weather, no help, price of materials out of bid, COVID, could be the same for the bridge. Anything's possible. But like I said, they've got the money. So they've got the money. And you can't tell me that I don't buy it. I don't buy it. COVID maybe, but not the other stuff. We've been trying polygraph. We are trying to get that. There's a lot of us that are working to try to get all that money. And honestly, it's really hard to find the public information. One of the things you're going to notice about Carroll County is that they don't always follow the rules when it comes to what's supposed to be public and what's not. And even with their city council minutes that they're supposed to make public. There are no minutes from the February 2017 meetings. That's one reason that a lot of people started questioning the mayor and whether or not he was involved in this, because they couldn't figure out what was going on there. There just needs to be an oversight of this county and Delphi too, not just the county, but the city of Delphi. I believe that they need to have someone from the outside that has no reason to, be partisan or make some judgment based on some crazy notion. They need to have somebody who is completely unbiased come in and go over this stuff. As far as I know, Mary, that money is still sitting there and nothing has happened with it. The fire chief has said he doesn't want it. He doesn't want that money. I'm sure it's because of the heartfelt fight that we did back in June, the end of June and July, when we were calling them out for everything, that had a lot to do with it, because we got the news media on it and they brought it to public light. So I'm sure he doesn't want it now because it makes them look bad for taking it. But we've been told that it's the law and they have to. So I don't know. John, it'll probably be a Netflix series at some point. I guarantee you. Because this case has been everybody thinks that the John Bonet case has all of this intricacy. As far as I'm concerned, John Bonet doesn't even come close to the crazy ins and outs of this case. This case is like no other case that I can think of. And it saddens me greatly because Abby and Libby deserve justice. I'm going to go with Doug Carter. They're no longer feeling what they felt in that woods that day. In my mind, in my heart, they are in heaven and they are no longer suffering at all. But I do believe they'd still deserve justice. And the person who committed this crime needs to be off the street and not walking around amongst us. Because you shouldn't be able to do that, get away with it, and continue to live a life. They stole and robbed two beautiful souls of a future, and it's completely unfair. And it shouldn't be stood for. We should just demand different. In the state of Indiana, I've said it before, they're 48th in the solvability rate of their murders. They don't solve their crimes very often. And it's really, really unnerving and makes you wonder what the heck's going on in Indiana. Either they need retrained or they need some outside help to come in and help them on investigations if they don't have enough manpower. I know that a lot of law enforcement agencies are hurting right now. They are desperately trying to hire. Our local law enforcement here is desperately trying to hire, and they're having trouble. And I think it's because of all of the problems that we've heard about with law enforcement officers, and people are afraid to be one. But I also think that there's still good people out there who do want to be one. And hey, Allie, so good to see you. I missed you. So good to see you. Um, I was at a birthday party all day, Allie, so I wasn't able to answer you, but I had planned on answering you when I was done with my live. Love you, love you. So Freckle Joy said she's interviewing for the Los Angeles Police Department and it's a year-long process. And you know what? That doesn't bother me either because I realize they need to be more selective in who they're hiring. I would rather them be more selective and get right people in the jobs than to be less selective and get some of these crazy people who think that they can treat anyone anyway just because they wear a badge. But yeah, so there's a lot of things happening around this, and we just need to be more diligent in looking back into the beginning, and I think it's going to help with what's going on. I definitely think mental health is a problem in this country. I think that we have so many issues where people are undiagnosed that have serious mental conditions that are untreated. And so, the anger, the hate, we experience that here on YouTube. You decide you're going to start a YouTube channel based on your desire to help others, people who are missing or unsolved crimes, whatever, and you start your channel with all of these good intentions, and you end up in this muck of hatred and crazy that you can't even imagine ever. I mean, ever. Never in my wildest imagination did I think that YouTube's true crime community had insanity in it. But it does. It certainly does. It's no different than, I guess, anywhere else out there, because people are constantly telling me, Kristen, haven't you been in the Facebook groups? Thank God I'm not in the Facebook groups. I don't think I could handle it. I have enough trouble handling Reddit. And I was, like I said, I started my Reddit sub a year ago, August. And I started that sub with all the good intentions of basically doing today is the day, every day, and reminding people who Abby and Libby were. The subreddit of Libby and Abby is where I landed first. And that became a wild fire of fighting and hate and just treating people awful. And I was like, you know what? I just want to focus on the girls. This is about them. It's not about us. This has nothing to do with us. This is all about Abby and Libby, and it's all about their families who's been left behind. And Tech Death hit it like out of the park, because he is the most compassionate person and he understands this topic so well. I think people cross too many boundaries in true crime in lots of ways. And he's absolutely right. I totally and absolutely agree with him. I think that there's a lot of people that just go way over the top and they don't stop and think about what they're going to say, what they're going to comment, what they're going to post before they do it. And and it's hurtful. And then there's just people who, you know, they just want to cause problems. They just want to be they want to be that person that's known for that. And um yeah, Ben Pat says this has always bothered me too. Thanks for the replies, y'all. I think it's a major issue, especially if there were as many people as it sounds on the trails. The implications of no one seeing them is beyond comprehension. Major. Well, first of all, I have a problem with everybody saying that there was all these people on the trails. Because we don't know who was on the trails. Law enforcement has never told us how many people were out there that day. I guarantee you they know. I guarantee you they've talked to them all, except probably for the murder or murderers. And so many people talk about going out to that trail system and never seeing anyone. It's like it's empty. It's like you may see one or two people if you're out there. I just have a problem. And I know it was a day off from school. So yeah, there may have been more kids and stuff out there, but for whatever reason, there wasn't during the time that we're talking about. So I don't know. I know that I don't for 1 minute believe there were 70 people out there, and I've heard that. So I don't believe that, but Hoosier was just here. I think he's watching. He was in here earlier. But yeah, no, I did not ever hear Kelsey say that at all. No, that is a rumor that has been around this case. But no, Kelsey never said she saw anybody when she dropped off the girls. Now, what she did say was that she had spoken to some friends when she was still at home, and they told her that they were out at the bridge or that they were out at the trails. And you do realize that the trails go to Riley Park. They could have been at Riley Park. They could have been at the trails and went to Riley Park. So, yeah. And like I said, you know, it's so easy for these things that are said to become fact over time because they're repeated and repeated and repeated. Hey, Hoosier, you did hear him call. How are you? So, yeah, I just, I don't know. I have a problem with the fact that nobody saw the girls. That's always been a problem for me. Because they did say there were people out there. And if there were people out there, why didn't they see Abby and Libby? And we don't know where Abby and Libby went when they got there. We don't know where they went. Did they walk down to the Freedom Bridge first? That would explain the 20 minutes of where they were before they were on the bridge. Did they walk down the 505 and go down to the water? I mean, there's just so many questions. So she said there were kids out there, but she didn't say they were at the drop-off point. is what I'm saying. She didn't see a bunch of kids at the drop where she dropped them off. She may have said that there were kids out there, is what I'm saying. And I know that I've heard her say that because it wasn't just kids, her friends. She had spoke to her own friends who told her that they were at the bridge. Yes, exactly, Molly. Teenagers will also say things like, everyone is going, all of our friends are going to be there, to try to get to go somewhere. Typically teen stuff, not malicious, just being teenagers. And maybe there's nobody going, or maybe there's two people going. So the missing minutes, I really do believe they could be them going to walk to the Freedom Bridge and then back to the bridge. But what's really strange to me is if there were all these kids out there and Abby and Libby went out there, you guarantee these kids all went to school together. It's not like they all went to different schools. They all went to school together. So if there were all these kids out there and they saw Abby and Libby, why did these kids not go with them to the bridge? Doesn't make sense. So it's just beyond me. It's really strange. There's just a lot of strange things, in my opinion. But I like to keep people thinking about situations. And one of the things that I wanted to talk about, or wanted to show you guys before I get off of here tonight, is I found this video about yellow. And I thought it's very short. It's not very long at all, but I thought it was very worth listening to. I'm going to share my screen and we're going to talk about this. This is the Yellow or Yubo app. That's the last thing law enforcement has come out and asked us help for. Law enforcement came out, I believe, in April and asked us, anybody who has spoken with Anthony Schatz on the Yellow app, which is now called Yubo, please contact us. You're welcome, Ben Pat. So welcome. So let's watch this, guys. Okay, just give me a minute to get it started for us.
Tinder for teens, that is what the latest app connecting kids as young as 12 years old is being compared to. It's called Yellow, just like the color.
And ABC 15's Lexi Suter joins us with the details on this tonight. Lexi, is this really a dating app for kids?
Well, it's not necessarily portrayed that way. I want to show you what it looks like in the App Store. It's called Yellow, and it says to make new friends. Now, basically what you do is you choose boys, girls, or both, and then you just start swiping.
Targeting kids as young as 12, the app Yellow is connecting people based on their location.
This is encouraging you to meet people you have no idea who they are.
The biggest concern tech expert Ken Colburn sees:
there's nothing to keep an older person that's interested in trying to connect with young people, nothing to keep them from doing it within minutes.
You enter your name, birth date, and can start swiping. When the connection is mutual, you start exchanging messages on Yellow or move over to another popular app, Snapchat, where messages automatically delete after they're sent.
That's ridiculous. That's absolutely ridiculous.
We asked several parents across the valley. No one was aware of Yellow.
That's ridiculous. I mean, 12-year-olds on a dating app? No.
Too much out there for them so early. The growing number of children that are, and the issues that I hear about is it's saddening, actually.
Colburn believes this is another app that warrants a conversation with your kids, one to start early and have often.
You just have to stay on top of this stuff. You can't use that excuse. You can't just say, I don't have time for this, and just let things happen, because that's when bad things happen.
So when you download it here, you can see all this fine print. It does ask for parent permission if you are 13 or younger. But again, no way to prove that. You can just go ahead and start swiping. Reporting live tonight in Phoenix, Lexi Suter, ABC 15, Arizona.
Lexi, thanks. Well,
wow. I mean, really, guys. I had no idea that there was these kind of apps out there. But when you stop and think about kids, I don't care what their age is, teenagers, any teenager, young teen, preteen, using an app and swiping to connect with people they do not know. The danger in that in today's society is off the charts. And if nothing comes from Abby and Libby's death, I hope that the understanding for parents out there that hear and know about Abby and Libby's case realize how extremely important it is to safeguard their children from things like this. I mean, it makes absolutely no sense that you would allow your child or not know what your child is doing on social media and just assuming that it's a pen pal app or they're just making friends. Because we've all been shown that these predators, these adult predators, go to these places and these sites and they troll children. And so we don't, I'm not trying to throw parents under the bus here. Kids will be sneaky. Kids will do what they can to try to get around parents saying no. But we as a community and as society, we have to stand up to these companies that prey on our children. Because to me, that's what this app that we're talking about, this yellow app, does. It is actually preying on our children. And they don't care about these kids' security. They don't care about the fact that these kids are talking to people that may be adults that end up grooming them and agreeing to, getting them to agree to meet. And then they end up, taken out of state or somewhere else, or worse, assaulted, or even worse, killed. So I just think that we have to do better. We just have to do better. And somebody asked about why these kids that were all there or know things or are Kelsey's friends or Libby's friends or Abby's friends aren't talking now, even today. Because I can guarantee you that every witness that was at that trail that day that the law enforcement talked to, and if these kids knew anything or saw anything and gave testimony to police of that statement, they would have been told, you cannot speak about this to anyone. It could damage the case. And if you're going to be called into court to testify, you cannot talk about it. And it could very well be that they were placed under gag orders. But I definitely guarantee you they've been told not to talk. That's quite common. That's why it's so unbelievable that some of these people just decide to willy-nilly talk to whomever and put out their so-called truth or what they think they know, and how damaging it can be to the case, and how it can put law enforcement in danger and witnesses in danger, and people laugh like we're crazy. I mean, how do you guys think that the victims in the what's his name? What's the guy with Jillian Maxwell, you guys? Giselle Maxwell. What's his name? Why can't I think of his name? supposedly, thank you, Jeffrey Epstein. How do you think the victims of Jeffrey Epstein felt after he was arrested and placed in a jail cell that was supposed to be secure with cameras? How do you guys think those victims felt when he was so-called committed suicide? Because I don't believe that for 1 second that man committed suicide. Those victims didn't get justice. They did not get justice. They did not get to see him in court and testify against him. So remember that and keep that in mind when you're listening to some of this stuff that comes out and you're like, wow, this could really screw the case up if they do have somebody in custody who is actually a witness and not a perpetrator, or even if it is a perpetrator and something happens to that person because of things that have been said or put out there. People aren't safe from being killed in jail. It does happen. And, people, can laugh and think all the things that they want to, but it amazes me when things like that happen and people are like, absolutely not, that didn't happen. He killed himself. So, and it's true, Lisa. I mean, I'm here to tell you, when you start looking at stuff with a different perspective than we had back in 2017, things kind of poke out at you and start sticking out that you just completely overlooked back then. And that's one of the things that I've been doing. I've just been looking at things with a different eye and a different mindset. And there's just a lot of things that, make me set up and say, wow, really? Maybe we don't know what we think we know. And maybe we're not looking at this case the way we should be looking at it. And maybe we've all gotten tunnel vision and we're focused on this one part of this case. And we've been told that it's multifaceted. So, but anyway, that was really what I wanted to talk to you guys about tonight. I really hope that you got something out of it. I wasn't trying to put anyone down for what they believe or what they think. Everyone's entitled to believe what they want to believe. And I'm not trying to say that. I just want people to try to think more critically. Keep your box open, as Sleuth told us. Don't put up all of your sides, and leave yourself open to gaining new information and gaining new facts as the case evolves and as we learn more. Because I do think we're all going to be shocked. I just do. And I'm just not going to get off of that. I think we're going to get shocked. And John, I don't have any POIs either. So for everyone who keeps emailing me, you don't have to keep emailing me and asking me, Kristen, who's your POI? No, I don't have one. I don't. And I do like to talk about why law enforcement may be looking at someone or that, and I've done that, but it's really hard for me to actually have one because in my mind, I don't have enough information. I don't have enough evidence to point to one certain person. And I firmly believe that the best way to deal with this case is to have absolute great discussion. I do sees through. I do. The better, it's yes, and make sure that you check to make sure they're facts before you run with it. Exactly. Don't just go headstrong out there into the airwaves and put stuff out when you haven't checked it and made sure that the stuff you're reporting is true. There's a lot of confusion in this case. And, we've all all pulled our hair out and everything. So, I'm with everyone on that. I'm right there with you. So I'm going to go ahead and get ready here to do my drawing that I do. I want everybody to know that for all of the newbies that are here, hold on a second here. Where did you go? Oh, there it is. It's hiding from me tonight. That's not it. Just a second, guys. It's so funny. Sometimes it wants to work. And sometimes it wants to hide from me. So today's text is going to be, Honeybee, thank you so much for joining. I so appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to go ahead and it's going to be hashtag today is the day. Because that's what we all truly want. That's what we want. So put in hashtag today is the day. And I'm going to give away a Delphi bracelet tonight. The Delphi wristband is got Abby and Libby forever in our hearts. And I want everybody to always remember and think of the girls first. Whenever you're thinking about this case, you're looking and reading about this case, please think about them first. They were actually people. They're not just victims. They're not just murdered girls. They actually had lives and had, great dreams and would have been enormous contributors to society. I firmly believe both of them would have been. They were on the path. And awesome, Tech. I'm wearing mine too, my dear. I'm wearing mine too. Thanks, Metal Mama. So good to see you here. Hey, sweet Caroline. How are you? So good to see you. So we'll get those entries going. Yes, you have to, digital, you have to type it exactly. You definitely do. I do want to, if I haven't, I want to put out another shout out to the Inquisitor. Thank you so much for letting me show your video tonight. I appreciate you so much. Oh, thanks, Serendipity. You guys, make sure you go check out his channel. It's amazing. He puts out some really good Delphi content and other content, and he's definitely worth listening to. Great critical thinker. Deb, I wish I could hear you sing it. You have such a great voice. I'm good. I'm good, sweet Caroline. I've been feeling, I was going to tell you guys, that I've been feeling amazing. I cannot tell you. One of the things that my daughter noticed today when I was at her house, I've been having issues going up and down stairs with for a while, for about 3 years, where I was just completely out of breath, so breathless. Thought it was the asthma and was having a lot of trouble with that, and that is all completely gone. I have none of it. I just feel like I am a whole new person. The medicine that they've put me on, I think a lot of the stuff that I was contributing to being asthma was my heart. And I think that the tachycardia had gotten the best of me. I just think it was really creating a lot of issues that I wasn't truly aware of. And so all I can tell you guys is if you have any kind of symptoms like that, if you have pain at all in your chest at any time, or you've got pain radiating down both of your arms, and you have rapid heartbeats that come on like that, you need to go to an emergency room and get checked out. It is so important. Don't be like me. I waited a year. I didn't tell anyone that I was having these. And I waited a year. And so I was very lucky that I did not have it from it. I have no damage to my heart muscle. So, yeah, feeling really good. So I'm showing that I have 17 people who are in the drawing. So I'm going to go ahead and get this going for us. We'll see who's the winner tonight. Awesome. Let me share my screen. Everybody congratulate Ben Pat. So Ben Pat, if you will email me your information, I will get your wristband sent right out to you. Yeah, Molly, that is so true. I did not realize how damaging what was going on could have been for me. And I am so happy that things have resolved and that I've been feeling so good. I've been sleeping good. It's just amazing how good I've been feeling. So thank you everyone for all of your kind words, your donations to me on PayPal, your emails, all the teas that I got sent to me. You guys, if you didn't know, you can send me at Buy Me a Coffee. I don't drink coffee at all, but I do like chai tea. And so you can actually buy me a tea. That's a great way to support me because I love my chai. It's like it's my vice, I guess. And so yeah, I appreciate all of you that did all those wonderful things, and just people who sent me messages. My daughter read those to me when I was in the ICU, and it really uplifted me and made me feel better. So I certainly appreciate it. And the other thing that I was going to say to everyone is please keep Quentin Simmons' family in your prayers, because I know that family is hurting terribly. Quentin is on my mind all the time, and I am so sad about that case. And I am going to be following that case very closely to see what resolution comes out of it. But just keep them in your hearts and prayers. Oh, Lisa, you're so thank you so much, Molly. Lisa, you are so sweet. I wish I had a Halloween birthday so I would feel better when people call me a witch. I love my birthday on Halloween. I was trying to decide. My grandsons asked me today, they're like, Grams, are you going to be with us on Halloween, or are you going to do a Halloween show for your channel? And I'm like, I cannot be here on my birthday. My grandkids, they just look forward to spending it with me. And I'm not gonna do that to them. But I think I'm gonna do a Halloween show on Saturday. So the Saturday before Halloween, because I live stream on Tuesday, Thursdays, and Saturdays. So I just think I'll do my Halloween show, and I think I'll figure it out. I'm gonna maybe do a spooky story night, or we're gonna do something, and it'll be fun. And I hope everybody enjoys that. I do know that It's a Criming Shame is going to do a Halloween live. I hope maybe I'll have time to pop in there for that, because I'm looking forward to it. I know it'll be great. True Crime Housewife. The name of it is called SVT, supraventricular tachycardia is what it's called. And so, double rainbows. That's cool. That's very cool. Happy birthday to your brother. Deb is wonderful. I love to listen to Deb sing. So she always sings Sweet Caroline, and she just gets me into the mood. So, but anyway, I'm going to get out of here, guys. We've been in here for 2.5 hours. So, I think it's time to let you guys go. And, again, thank you for being here. I love all of you. Thank you to everyone who joined tonight and became a member of the Doors. I so appreciate you. Thanks for supporting me and supporting the work that I do here. And I will say good night to everyone, and I will see you all on Tuesday night. Thank you to all of my moderators, my new moderators. I appreciate you. Jennifer, I hope will be back soon. I miss her, and I know that she's had it really, really rough. She's not felt good herself, and she's had issues with her children. But congratulations to her daughter, who won Homecoming Queen this weekend. So that's pretty cool and pretty awesome. But anyway, don't leave, guys. You're going to get to hear Tech Death here in just a minute. Good night, everyone, and have a good evening.